every technology organization today seems to practice the Agile methodology for software development, or a version of it, or at least they believe they do. And now, about this. Whether you are new to the Agile application development or you learned software development decades ago using the Waterfall software development methodology, today your work is influenced by the Agile methodology in some way or another. When we look back at how Agile was supposed to be, and it's on the Agile Manifesto, there are four main principles. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. When we compare that to the previous way of working, and for many, still the way of working today, the Waterfall methodology, as it was the gold standard for software development, it is not just a cultural shift, but also a technological one. Mostly because Waterfall required a lot of documentation at start. Well, in theory, because most of it was done at the end. Some were scarce and it was an inglorious and tedious task to do. The normal workflow would start with the business analyst writing the functional requirements to capture the business needs. Then the development team will take those business requirements further and develop their own non-functional and technical requirements document, which encompass, for instance, the architecture, the data structure, the user interfaces, and so on. You get the point. Waterfall worked for the Henry Ford's assembly line, but we stopped doing monolithic applications, and as we entered the distributed computing, along comes the Agile discipline to best deliver projects for the internet age. We couldn't afford to do all of the detailed documentation up front, and we needed a more iterative and collaborative process. We still debated changes to the requirements, yes, but we were more open to experimentation and to adapting to end-user needs. More importantly, we were trying to grow businesses, so when our users told us something wasn't working, we more often than not chose to listen to them. Then along comes the Agile Manifesto, which documented shared beliefs in how a modern software development process should operate. It stressed collaboration over documentation, self-organization rather than rigid management practices, and the ability to manage to constant change rather than lock yourself to a rigid waterfall development process. The Agile development process itself begins with someone who is required to be the voice of the customer, including any internal stakeholders. Agile processes always begin with the user or customer in mind. Today, we often define them with user personas to illustrate different roles in the workflow the software is supporting or different types of customer needs and behaviors. Right now, teams are multidisciplinary, composed of a diverse group of people with the skills to get the job done. Because now the focus is on delivering working software, the team has to complete end-to-end functioning applications. But I'm not going into the many Agile frameworks that provide specifics on development process, or Agile development practices aligned to a software development lifecycle. Instead, what I've recently seen is that companies and developers think they are doing Agile because of the frameworks and tools, and not rather because of the principles that this methodology inherits and creates. Which made me think if they are really doing Agile, or do they think they do? Are we aligned not just with the tools, but also with the principles? What do you think?